Hello out there, Discover Your Path U. This is Sharon Froshin, the Chief Operating Officer for Discover Your Path U, here with Sarah Whalen, Chief Financial Officer for Discover Your Path U, as well as the Treasurer for the Board of Directors. Sarah, thank you so much for being here with me and taking this time to come on and get to know our students, our potential instructors, and our viewers. Would you like to take a few moments just to explain how we can get a hold of you, what it is that you do, any modalities that you're currently working on? Just share with us who you are and how you came to DipU.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thanks for having me here today. As Sharon mentioned, I'm Sarah Whalen. You can find me on Facebook at Sarah Whalen Coaching, and you can reach out to me by an email if you'd like to at sarahwhalencoach@gmail.com. It's funny to send all of this intro information, but call me. And anyway, you can find me there. You can follow me on Instagram at _Sarah Whalen _ and other places like that. But lately, you'll just be finding me hanging around in the DipU page and group. I'm so excited to be here and be a part of this. I'll give you a little bit of my background, I guess, about how I came to be a coach. And I don't know how old I was, probably about 4, I think, my first official coaching session. I just am one of those people who I've always been a natural. I didn't even know what coaching was until about 5 years ago and didn't realize that's what I had been doing my whole life, just naturally. I'm like, damn, there's a whole industry built around this. So yeah, I spent 8 years in public accounting and worked at a small a regional public accounting firm in Michigan and worked primarily with small businesses and did a lot of consulting and corporate tax work. And after 8 years of that, I was beyond done with it and took a private industry job working for an international firm. That was a lot of fun. And I was the controller and CFO of that company. So that's kind of how I got to be CFO of DipU story.
Short straw.
Short straw. Yeah. No, actually, the linear analytical side of my brain really enjoys doing this type of work. But it's not something that really nourishes my soul. And that was the piece that was missing. So after 4 years in private industry, I actually had the opportunity to leave the workplace and be a stay-at-home mom. And I did that for 16 years and raised my son and my stepdaughter. And I was really fortunate during that period of time. I continued to do business consulting and had the opportunity to do a lot of volunteer work and really be a good support system for activities that my son was involved in. So um, very grateful for that time in my life. And then the kids had the nerve to grow up and go off to college, so and become thriving citizens. I'm not sure how that happened, but we raised them right. Anyway, so I actually found myself kind of at a crossroads. I wanted to do something. I was living in the Midwest in the U.S. here, and wanted to leave the area. So I relocated to the state of Washington and didn't know a single soul here when we moved here. So it gave me the opportunity to really think about what is it that I want to do kind of in this next phase of my life. And the more I thought about it, like, well, I can go get a job in accounting. And then I could feel my soul drying up and drifting away. And so I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. But when I really sunk into myself and got in touch with what I wanted, I knew that I wanted to be in some capacity to help people. I wanted to even just be in a simple position to make people smile, just to bring a little light and happiness to somebody's day. And I was simultaneously looking for a naturopath and as I was typing a letter to one asking her if she was accepting new patients, I thought that could be fun. So I said, "Oh, and by the way, do you need any help in the office?" And she said, "Yes, I am accepting new patients." And why, yes, as a matter of fact, we do. And so I met with the office manager and she looked at my resume and she just said, "Why are you here? You're so vastly overqualified to be our receptionist." And I said, that was all a prior life. All of that, everything on my resume is from a prior life. It's all accumulated knowledge, but it's really not who I am.
Mm.
And so I accepted a position and worked at this naturopathic firm for 7 years and did front office work. And I just loved interacting with the patients and just giving them something to smile about. I figure I'm the first person they see when they walk in and the last person they see before they leave. So if they have a good encounter on the way in and a good encounter on the way out, that overall it's going to be a good experience for them. So that kind of got me into the helping industry, because to go from a very dry field like accounting and finance into healthcare was a huge, huge shift. But it opened up a big part of me that had been blocked off for a long time. And that was really tapping into my compassionate heart and um, trying to find a way to truly be helpful, and to be a benefit to people. So that's kind of who I am now. So once I discovered, the field of coaching, I got interested in MBIT, which is multiple brain integration technique. It's actually the first coaching course that I took. I just jumped right into the deep end. Might have been a good idea to, I don't know, get a couple of years of coaching under my belt, but I figured, all those decades of practice I had were a good lead into it.
Mm.
Um, but MBIT, or M braining, is just this amazing process of integrating ancient wisdom with modern neuroscience in a facilitated process to align your head, your heart, and your gut, and operate from a place of coherence so that you're always making decisions from your highest place of wisdom. And it's an incredible process,
Yes, it
absolutely
is.
incredible. And I loved it so much that I went on to become an MBIT master coach and also an MBIT trainer. So I'm also qualified to certify other coaches as MBIT trainers, or coaches, sorry. And I've studied NLP, and I've studied strategic intervention with Tony Robbins, and several other modalities. But most significantly, I think what's happened is the blending of all of these different modalities that I have combined with my intuition. Um, I've got functional modalities that I use in a very intuitive way.
Mm.
And then kind of going full circle, leaning back into getting into the health side of things. I recently have studied to become an integrative nutrition health coach. So I have a wide array of knowledge and experience.
To say the least.
I think I just said the most.
So I just want to confirm with you, you're one of only about 24 people in the world who are currently MBIT master coaches and trainers, correct?
I think we're up to about 80 worldwide.
80?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is a small number, and there are very few in the U.S. or North America.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a small but growing field, and just such a powerful tool to have in your toolkit if you're a coach.
You and Beth have certainly sent me for a ride with MBIT more than once. So I can attest to its power. It is
Yeah.
very, very powerful. I also wanted to, while we're talking about Beth, I hope you don't mind. Um, I am participating in a group done by Beth Gray, who's also a member of the board of directors, as well as Sarah Whalen, using the system of energetics, which is also, I believe, a submodality of MBIT. Is that correct?
It
Yes.
is. It's sort of the latest iteration of ways to really embody embraining, and it has to do with how you're using food in your life and really connecting deeply to your core, peeling away all the layers so that the focus is not on food, the focus is just on living a healthy, balanced life, and all through using the MBIT modality.
Mm.
Yeah. So
I, it's very
fascinating and
powerful.
powerful. Yeah.
So when it comes to your position on the board of directors, as well as your status as an instructor in the community, what are the strengths that you think that you bring to the board as well as to the classroom as an instructor?
Well, I think, the one thing I've led with my whole life is my sense of humor. That's the first thing I bring. Uh, it is.
Yep.
And, I do have all of these years in public accounting and in private industry doing accounting and finance work. Um, have been out of that game specifically for a while, but um, definitely, gosh, I've coached so many small business owners how to build their business and just all of the building blocks they need to have in place to build a solid foundation to help create their successful future. So that,
Mm.
and sorry, what was the second question you asked me
I
about?
don't remember.
We should have written them down. Darn it. No, I think you asked me about teaching at
Yes,
DIPU.
the classroom. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to initially offer some things all having to do with embraining and starting to introduce coaches to the process and let them experience what it feels like to go through the MBIT process and get aligned themselves.
Side
And
note, guys, that's something that you have to experience. Just putting that out there. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, and then I want to branch off and offer things like some guided meditations, again specifically including embraining. So I have 4 of those that I'll be offering, and a lot more things in the works. I love to do live events. I like to just show up. I sort of envision some of the things that I want to do as basically, opening the room and have people showing up and just really interacting, and whether that's in a meditation or visioning or just whatever other expansive things that we can do. And again, everything I do comes back to grounding, being grounded, being centered. So no matter what it is, it's all going to sort of pivot around that idea.
Hmm. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Your Celtic heritage is up in the 70% range, correct?
Yeah, it's very high.
How do you think that that heritage and that particular spiritual lineage helps you show up better for the students here in DIPU as on a spiritual plane?
You know, I really I have not studied all of the Celtic lore um, much, but I've always really strongly identified with it. And uh, I there's just a lot to it
There
that
is.
feels very ancient, that feels very relevant to me, that I want to tap into more and share more with people. I just don't think we got to where we are today by not having some really significant spiritual stepping stones along the way.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I know that when I think of the Celts, what pops into my mind first is the smell of very deep earth. That that smell of just grounding, not only to Mother Earth as a planet, but also to Mother Nature as a force on the planet, and how those interact and how they affect our lives.
Yeah. And we know they do,
They certainly do.
right?
I know that one of the things that I've enjoyed most about spending time with you, Sarah, is our PA, is the um, practicing the power of eight groups. And that's actually, although I knew you at the beginning of the year, our relationship has gotten so much more deep and robust as a result of this group. And I'm just wondering if you might share what your experience in practicing the power of eight has been on a spiritual level.
Yeah, it's been life changing, really. I've always been what I consider to be a seeking and spiritual person. Um, Never in the Christian realm, though. My interest and focus has been more on Eastern philosophy or religion. I've studied and practiced Nichiren Buddhism for 20 years and felt very connected to that. Um, and it allowed me to do what my way of connecting to source is, which is to me the universe. It gave me this, I guess I love modalities, is what I'm seeing here. It gave me this method and modality for making that connection
Mm,
and for setting my intentions out into the universe, or my prayers, or my need if somebody was sick or suffering. So that was my spiritual journey up until I got into the Power of Eight with you guys the first of the year. Um, and most everybody there seems comes from a relatively Christian oriented background. And the thing I'm finding more and more is the more I know, the less I know, and the more open I am to all possibilities. And that no one spiritual story is more true than another one or more correct, right? It's all just so expansive if I allow for all of it. And so I'm experiencing so much joy and richness in my own sense of spirituality because of the experience of getting together in Power of Eight and doing a grounding meditation and then a guided meditation every single day with the group since the first of the year.
it's
It's
pretty profound.
it really is just it's deeper and wider and more broad every day, and the connections are um, some of them so deep and true and everlasting.
Mm,
And I feel that we've known each other many lifetimes.
yes.
Q, she believes in reincarnation. um, yeah, but I really do. I feel like we've all just found each other again, not that we just met. And that's really what I feel about how the board of directors and this group came together to form and create Discover Your Path U. It is the most synchronistic event
Yeah,
of my life. I don't know about yours, but
definitely.
just the variety of skills, the level that everybody has exactly a piece of the puzzle that we needed,
Yeah.
and there's no overlap.
Nope.
It's incredible. It's
It really is.
incredible.
While we're talking about DipU, having got to understand you and to meet you here in this conversation, why don't you share with the viewers what your why are you here in DipU? Why is DipU so important to you, and why does it matter to you that people participate on this platform?
The why for me is much like everything else that's mattered in my life, and it is the fact that it was a synchronicity.
Mm,
The universe brought this to me unexpected. I wasn't looking for something like this, but the universe delivered exactly what I needed at exactly the right time. And the what we're building is it's just like a candy store for knowledge,
It really
right?
is.
It really like a penny candy store. And you walk in and there are like an infinite variety of delicious sweet treats that you could choose from. And I feel like that's what we're doing here. There's no limitations. I don't have to hide away a part of myself to feel like I fit in. I get to just be my full blown odd self, and not feel odd at all, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I found a place where I really fit in. And I think that's something that all of our students and instructors are going to find when they get here, is that they get to, you know, kind of, you know, peel away the cloak a little bit and say, yeah, this is who I am. Try on, you know, the pragmatic, try on the esoteric, and find a perfect blend to what suits you for everybody who's going to be here. And it's just, God, it's going to be such a fantastic opportunity for everybody. And people who just want to expand, not because they're a coach, but just because they're lifelong learners and want to try something new. And somebody who just wants to come in and, learn tarot or something just because that's what they want to do, but they want to do it in a community learning environment. This is going to be the place to do it. I think that we're really on the forefront of what's going to be a really dynamic,
Yes.
soon to be the gold standard of what it's supposed to be to be in an environment to learn, to teach, to grow. And how could I not be a part of that? I feel like I'm in exactly the right place. I was meant to be here, and I feel infinitely blessed to be a part of this. Can't even can't even measure that.
So, if I were to say to you, could you separate your spirituality from your coaching? What would the answer be?
Not and show up as my whole self.
Yeah.
There's such a huge intuitive and empathic part of me that shows up in my coaching.
Yeah.
Um, if I were, I mean, I would basically be taking myself out of the equation if I did that. In which case, you might as well just go buy a book and get your coaching from a book,
Mm.
right? I mean, it would be that flat for me. Um,
So, what would you say to a potential student who's been put in that situation, and why is the ability to embrace your own authenticity so important in the life coaching field?
I think probably the ultimate goal of everybody who goes into coaching is to become happy. We're all in that. Oh, I'm going to get there. I'm going to be happy. And I don't think you can ever become your deepest, most happy self if there's a part of you you have to hide away. If there's a part of you you have to keep in a box on a shelf and only bring it out for special occasions when you meet with that one set of friends who gets you, then you're not going to be fully integrated in every aspect of your life. You are not going to be able to just show up as yourself and build continual confidence in knowing who you are.
True. If you had to share with our viewers your favorite feature about the Discover Your Path You platform, what would that be?
I am really drawn to just the live events and workshops and what I see as developing as basically just drop ins. I think that's going to be incredible because as fabulous as pre-planned courses are and as necessary as they are, if I wake up tomorrow morning and I just have a feeling about something like, geez, I either really like to learn this or I'm feeling really off, I could really use, some grounding meditation. I am excited that I know I can go to DipU and look at the calendar and say, yes, there's a meditation this afternoon with Sandra. I can go and just revel in that. I see it as a community center for all of us. It's a community center on a global scale where we can just all show up and get what we need.
Very true. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining me here today to give our audience, our student body, and potential instructors the opportunity to meet you. I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I adore you. I love your energy. I love especially the love that you bring into a room. You are so loving and
Oh,
so accepting and so embracing of other people, other cultures, other ideas. And your presence in a room, it makes everyone else in that room that much happier and that much more present for whatever's going on. And I have just absolutely adored getting to know you, and I appreciate you in my life. And I hope I tell you that enough.
thank you. Don't stop telling me that. I love you too. You know that. Like I said, we didn't just meet, we've known each other for lifetimes. We're
Agreed.
just back together again. And the sisterhood that we've created is, an
Back in the
unbreakable
habit.
bond. Yep. Yep.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I am so grateful that I got a chance to introduce you to my friend and soul sister, Sarah Whalen. And I cannot wait for you to get the opportunity to not only experience her on the platform within our community, but also to experience her as an instructor and a guide, because she is truly an exceptional human being. Thank you so much for joining us, and I
Thank
look
you.
forward to talking to you again later. Thank you, everyone, and have an absolutely fantastic rest of your evening.
Yeah, I'll see you around.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.